And up to today, I'm still learning it, although he passed away.
As a student of music when I was growing up, I read about it. And I was interested to know what it is. Then at one point I saw in a book that was written by Edward Galazimukasa, Anthology of Ugandan musical instruments, and I found a picture of a line of drums with the people holding the sticks that are carved, and that I had never seen in Busoga. So I thought I should listen to this music somehow.
Ndi musiige mu lubiri lwa Ssaabasajja Kabaka. Nasiigibwa mu mwaka gwa 5 mu lubiri ebaamunaanika. Kati entenga ezo zaaliyo. Kati baazikubanga ne zinnyumira. Ne njagala okugenda abazikuba ndabe bwe bakuba. Naga kinyegenyege ne kinkwata ng'omwana ne njigirawo.
They are royal 12-tuned drums, plus 3 of them, which makes them 15. They are played rarely in the palace, and especially for the king. Once you hear Ntenga playing, then the king is in the palace.
My dialect alone connects me to these drums and forces me to find out more about them. Could they be connected to my own, heritage, to my ethnic society? And in the process of working with Musisi, he actually kept on insisting that Ntenga came from Busoga. It was brought by one of the early kings of Uganda.
Engoma ezo buli kika mu lubiri kirimu engoma zikikuba. Abakondeere abaki kati ekika ekyo kya Lugave. Ab'Olugave be bannannyini engoma ezo. Be bakuba engoma ezo nga mujaguzo biki biki. Era Kawuula yatwala engoma ezo mujaguzo, Entenga, byonna yabizingiramu. Za buwangwa.
I contacted a friend who happens to be a director of Bayimba. He's called Faizo Chiwewa. Those of us who might know him. I said, he actually talked to me that, James, I'm having an event of Doa Doa, which I had, known of even years before. And I said, yes, talk about Doa Doa. I have something that would be exciting. We have revived the King's Ntenga music, but I doubt that I even have a chance to meet the king. First of all, I'm from Busoga. How do I go through the processes? And I'm a teacher. Really, I'm focused on this music more than I'm focused on other big things, including the politics of our cultures and our nation and things like that. I want to be a simple citizen who is free to do my things. And so he was so receptive, and we walked through the budget and said, I will give the money. It was a bit high from my thinking. And so they came out to perform at Doa Doa in the National Theatre. They were actually playing opening act of the Doa Doa event. And so somehow this made it known that actually there are some Ntenga players. Following that Doa Doa event, there was a coronation ceremony for the king. And some Baganda leaders, Baganda kingdom leaders said, by the way, there were Ntenga performers in Doa Doa. We have to find them.
Each tribe has got its own culture. And so these are for, Buganda. And we are related a little bit with Basoga.
The king actually recognized that the Ntenga playing that he was looking at was much the same as the Ntenga playing he had seen played in the palace for when his father was the king. He actually said, I want to thank the Ntenga players because they played the music in exactly the same way as those Ntenga players who played in the palace those days.
Ekivuga ekyo kyekusifu mu lubiri lwa kabaka ye bwe yakitumyanga nekimuvugira ng'ennaku emukutte oba nga ayagala okusanyuka nagamba nkubira engoma ntenga akutali bivuga birala naye ng'ekyo kyokka kyekusifu kyeringa n'ammanju watwekobe.
Going back to look at this music and what makes it really unique, for me it is the interlockingness of these skins. And by the way, when it plays and you're very near, you may not really feel the beauty of the music. You have to stand a distance away and you hear it like you're listening to something on a hill, and then you say, wow, this is amazing.
Most of the royal musical instruments are perishing. I wouldn't like to die before these are being implemented back in the palace, because the ntenga should be in the palace and should be there. We are going, but the problem.com is causing a lot of problems, you know. When you tell someone, can you play, they say, no, I cannot play the big, instead of calling them drums, they say, I don't want to play the bigoma.
This music has cultural significance in Uganda, and for me, that is the starting point. I really needed to respect the context, the cultural context in which this music was birthed. So in revitalizing this music expression, the intention is not to sell it to the world as me. But I have had challenges with the young people who learned the music. One of them actually said one day, but I am the music. So, why did he say that? He said it because I was trying to suggest that we keep within the confines of the cultural institutions that claim responsibility of this expression. My argument has and still continues to be that the kingdom is interested in this cultural expression, and I really needed to respect the kingdom.
I'm a believer. So wherever I go, I worship, okay? You know, I'm happy, like my brother Kabuza. You know, if you find us playing the spiritual songs on a xylophone, if you are tempted, you can worship on a xylophone. Not only me, with friends like Okirol and, we got our queer name, which we call ourselves, but I won't say it. But it was jokingly when we say, come on, Mr. Let's play, and then we kick it off.
Cultures don't die sometimes. They can only be held a little bit, but as long as they are spirit, they find their way back into the domain of existence. I think I would like to continue my contribution to the heritage of this world. The diversity of mankind is the beauty of this planet. And in my view, if the different cultural expressions are given a vent to exist within their power and into the public domain, I think we have a better world. We have a world where we understand one another. It is these differences which help us to see who we are. And it is the same differences which help us to resolve and come to an understanding.
I'm happy because I invented something which took a long time. You know, when presidents or whatever other people comes, they think when we talk of gun salutes. But for us, I invented something called the drum salute for the king, you know, on every year, which he adds up when he's still alive. That's the rhythm we play, because last time was 27 years and we banged 27 drum salute.
My name is James Isabire. I would like to invite all of you in every corner of the world to come and enjoy Ntenga music of the Uganda people during this Doa 2021.
Thank you so much for joining this week's show, Doa 2021. I hope you had some fun and got some inspiration. If you have any comment, please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and leave your comment, or our Facebook page, Twitter or Instagram. We'll definitely get back to you. We are very grateful, and until next week, I remain your host, Faizo Kiwewa from Bayimba and the Doa team. Keep it Doa 2021.
My name is Mir Hamid Ali. I am the business unit head at EMT Distribution. I'm here in Uganda as a part of EMT Roadshow 2022. EMT is a cybersecurity distributor which distributes cutting-edge technologies to help customers mitigate the cybersecurity threats across the globe. We are an international company with offices over 11 different countries with over 200 employees. So when I say value-added cybersecurity distributor, we are a focused distributor which offers cutting-edge technologies which helps customers in protecting or mitigating the never-ending cyber threats. So if you see today's world, it's everywhere, it's chaos that's happening because everything is online. So we are trying to go ahead and protect customers from the attacks that they cannot see. So that was the main purpose of me coming to this part of Africa and present them the technologies that we distribute. So because I feel that this is the right time, or this is the era where people are more welcoming for these kind of technologies. So today we represent solutions like OpsWord, Secure NY, and we have other technologies as well in our portfolio which could help customers in protecting them against the cyber threats. Why this part of the Africa is because I feel that this part of Africa, when you compare East Africa, is much more open to new technologies. You have financial hubs, you have government entities which are actually want to adopt new technologies. That's where we think that this is the right time where we could present them solutions which is great and which is going to help them in securing themselves. So particularly Uganda, because I have seen governments releasing mandates, for example from central banks, that they need to have certain security policies in place to run the operations smoothly so that their infrastructures are secure. So these kind of mandates, these kind of laws that's been released by the governments, which is helping the organizations to have these kind of policies in place. So that's one of the reasons that we came into East Africa, so that we could present them solutions, what we have in our portfolio. The guest that we had today was very interactive. That shows that the solution that we presented actually addresses the pain points that they're facing on a day-to-day basis, or they see that they might face in the future. So that was one of the key reasons that we thought that this OpsWord technology that we presented is helping the people across the globe. So why not here? So we tried to replicate and it worked. And I'm sure that's going to help the customers in a way that they would be protected with the new cyber threats. See, the future for cybersecurity is very bright because cybersecurity is evolving on an hourly basis. It's not daily, it's hourly basis. We have solutions which caters to almost every segment of a cybersecurity framework, starting from endpoint to securing critical infrastructure. For today, as we have limited time, so we couldn't focus on the whole portfolio, so we pick and choose two technologies which we thought that, this is the technologies which is going to help and the customers that we're trying to focus on. So moving forward, hopefully by next quarter, we would again come back with another two solutions where we present them to much more larger audience. And my name is Mir Hamid Ali. I am the business unit head at EMT Distribution. I'm here in Uganda as a part of EMT Roadshow 2022. EMT is a cybersecurity distributor which distributes cutting-edge technologies to help customers mitigate the cybersecurity threats across the globe. We are an international company with offices over 11 different countries with over 200 employees.
My name is Adrian Kamoga, Director Standard ICT, the current host of this particular session that we've just had. When it comes to cybersecurity, we have a lot of evolution each and every year, and that's why we come out as a company to introduce new solutions to our customers, and we believe that it is going to patch up a gap in their security portfolio. The interactions that we've had today, the attention that has been driven towards our presentations tells us that really these solutions were needed by these people. You know, sometimes when you have presentations and people are attentive, that means they are acquiring knowledge. And we believe that the attention that people have given, our customers have given to this presentation shows the need that they have in the organization. If you look at the evolution of the cyber world, you'll see that there's a lot of digitization. A lot of customers, for example, here today we had one of the customers who decided to move their email box from their on-premise and then pushed it to cloud. But they've realized that actually now cloud is not secure. So they are looking for a solution. They are looking for a solution that can help them secure their email box in the cloud where it is. So you see that as we are being driven by the technology growth, there's one key factor that people have not really focused on in Uganda, and that is security. Because at the end of the day, the excitement of technology is there, but then we have to focus on how secure people and environments are. For sure, according to the feedback we've got from the customers, it really defines the need that they have, which means that we're actually proposing the right solutions. And when it comes to the DLP and the identity and access management that we've also talked about, you'd see that people really want to know where their documents are actually flowing to. That is in the DLP section. And they also want to identify people who are actually accessing what and whatever resources that they have on their network. One of the key layers in security we have is compliance. So many of the people, of course, are a bit skeptical when it comes to technology advancements. For example, if there is a law, a particular law that has been passed that you need to comply with so that probably your system can talk to another system. So you find that because of compliance, people are going to be forced to move to new technologies, and then they also be forced to implement the security measures that are there to make them comfortable. Of course, one of the limitations we have is information. Cyber security is a bit complicated, and you see people already reluctant in terms of digitization. Now, how about cyber security? This is something that is a bit complicated, they don't understand. But well, for us, we are here, as a company, we are here to give information, and that's why we have had this workshop and similar workshops that we've had before. Is to provide consultancy, is to provide a one-stop center for whichever solution that you would want to have in order to have your environment secure, in order to give confidence. We have certain solutions, for example, that give cyber knowledge, that help companies build the human layer in terms of giving knowledge to staff. How do you identify a threat? How do you report it? Or how do you mitigate it? One of the key items I pointed out in my presentation was we focus on channel. And of course, when it comes to channel means partnership. We build partnership. For example, now, EMT is one of our biggest partners when it comes to cybersecurity, which means that whichever products EMT has, we're able to introduce them to our customers. And that means the marriage that we already have between us and EMT defines the support level that we can give to our customers. Of course, in support, there's the couple of levels of support. Of course, you have the first level support, who's on the ground. Then you probably have the second level support, who's EMT as the distributor. Or you even go ahead and contact the manufacturer. So the fact that EMT has a good partnership, for example, with OPSWAT, that means that we already also have a good partnership with OPSWAT, and we are trying to build confidence to the customers. That's why today you had 3 companies presenting and dedicating themselves to provide a solution, a particular solution to those customers. The vendor was presenting, the master distributor was presenting, and me as the value-added reseller was presenting. Hi, my name is Adrian Kamoga. I'm the current director for Standard ICT. Today we've held a roadshow for EMT, and we've introduced a couple of solutions to our customers. And we believe this is the best event we've ever had this year.
Engineered in the heart of the pearl, one face, 4 perspectives, embracing a hip, urban and dynamic community, keeping dibs on the constantly evolving African scene, fanning the hottest talent in Uganda and beyond, inspiring beautiful minds across the world, literally changing the game on television. This is XXL TV Show Season 4. Go big or go home. Otherwise, be inspired.
My name is Martin Anthony Nsuvuga. I'm the CEO of Uganda Retirement Benefits Regulatory Authority. And I've served the institution until now, where I've grown to the position of the Chief Executive Officer. So I've seen UBRA since its establishment.
I was also the person who started the organization as interim CEO for the organization. My role was to set up the organization, and here we are.
It has been a really new experience in my life. As you may have heard, UBRA was non-existent. There was no formal regulatory environment for pensions or retirement benefits. So we are a pioneer. We were appointed to set up the architecture and the environment for regulation of retirement benefits and pensions.
So the Ministry of Finance, because I was the technical person really handling all these reforms, they asked me to come and set up this institution, which is the Retirement Benefits Regulatory Authority. So I was requested to start as interim Chief Executive Officer, which I did from the year 2012 to early 2015. It's been a great journey. When we started from scratch.
The journey of 10 years of UBRA started with an Act of Parliament of 2011, but actual operation started in 2012, and that's why we are celebrating 10 years today.
There was no institutional setup, there were no laws, there was nothing. So we started with the legal framework, putting in place the legal framework that establishes the supervisor or the regulator for the retirement benefits sector. Before then,
UBRA came into the bucket about 10 years ago. The first thing they did, right from their first offices at Communications House, was to take stock of the market. who are the players, who are the retirement players in the market, who are the service providers, which schemes are operating in the market. Service to note that there was already something happening in the market even before UBRA came to play.
And because of that, there were Ponzi schemes, there were frauds and all those kind of things. There was no trust in the sector. So our primary objective was to build a system that would instill confidence in the general public.
I believe the journey has been very successful. We have a footprint now in the community, and that footprint is best exemplified by the growth of the pensions sector. When we were appointed, the pension sector savings were less than 5 trillion. Today they're approaching 20 trillion.
A number of proposals were carried to Parliament, and the biggest one was to actually put in place a sector regulator.
My role as a Member of Parliament when I came in 2001 was to make legislation. And one of the laws we have made is the UBRA Act, which basically came in to assist how to regulate the retirement pension funds, which were missing in this country. I'm proud that now we have over 19 trillion shillings in the pension fund. That's a very good contributor to national development. And in the future, I'm sure this money we shall not go to borrow. We shall use this money of the pension fund to really develop our country.
You would appreciate that this is not a small contribution for a sector that was not regulated. But overall, it was part of the global reforms that we are seeing in other countries in the pension sector.
To me, that's a plus for the authority.
And you can imagine in a very short time, in less than 10 years, we have over 19 trillion. It believes that within the next 5 years, we should be over 40 trillion.
To me, that is a plus for UBRA and a surety for the people of Uganda who save with these different schemes, knowing that somebody is there making sure that my money that I put in any scheme is safe, is protected.
So one of the main objectives was to safeguard the interests of the members. Now what this means is that the moment members' interests are safeguarded, their rights are protected, it then boils down to growth of the sector. Now, what we've seen in the last 10 years is that the sector, the assets under management have more than tripled. So within a span of 10 years, we're seeing a lot of efficiency in terms of members are able to get their benefits, they're able to access more information about their schemes. More importantly is the professionalism that has been injected in the sector.
There has been a deliberate effort to build trust because the foundation is strong, it can be trusted. And again, the investment structures are very solid, so which means they encourage the growth of the market, the growth of the portfolio, and also provide the positive returns that we see to date.
The last one that is significant, which I've seen UBRA doing, is promoting transparency. So to a member, that information creates trust within the member because you are saying, there's nothing I'm hiding. This is how we run the scheme in the year. There were 13 meetings, and this member of the board, out of 13, he attended 3.
In the saving schemes, there was no trust, there was no confidence, there was a lot of risk. Even the savers could not know how much their contributions were. Okay? In other words, everything was in a disarray without any regulator.
I think as well, looking generally at the business environment, you rarely now see complaints of people stating that the funds that they thought they had in their names have disappeared or have been paid to the wrong person. And all this is just because of the supervisory role that UBRA has brought in, which has been pivotal in making us run a world-class pension sector in Uganda.
There are 3 parts to any pension system. There's the contributions or collections of pensions, there is the management of the pensions or the investment of these pension savings, and then there's the payment of these pension savings, either through a lump sum or through monthly payments. We have had a shared responsibility with UBRA for the past 10 years in the aspect of management of the savings through investments because many of the fund managers whom we license are also licensed by UBRA. Although UBRA focuses a lot more on the pensions or the retirement savings that they manage. So we have done this role together, we've had this shared role. The synergies we have drawn from this partnership have been very beneficial, and we look forward to continuing to work together with UBRA in the future.
We see growth in number of schemes in this market. Today we are talking of 65 schemes. In the past we are talking of 3 schemes that were established by an Act of Parliament. That is the Public Service Pension Scheme, the Parliamentary Pension Scheme, and the NSSF, all of them established by an Act of Parliament.
More importantly is to say that the journey that UBRA has walked over the 10 years have been challenging, but also refreshing, in a sense that they came into a virgin market. There was no regulator before them, especially in the pension sector. So what they started with was commendable. Let's do a stock taking. Let's understand the market. Who is doing what in the market? So I think that phase helped UBRA create the visibility, create identity for the first 3-4 years. Over the years, they've also been able to do publicity to kind of show the market, show the public that this is what we do, and especially as you plan for your retirement.
At least for the last 10 years, we've not had any corruption, loss of members' funds. We've also not had any poor investments because investments are all known, structured, in particular known asset classes that provide a very good return to the member. And actually in this period in time, that's when the sector has witnessed high returns to the members, double-digit returns for the last 5 years or thereabout.
So, in my opinion, that is trust from the general public that we are doing the right thing, and we hope that we continue to do that.
In the next 10 years, what I would like to really see going forward is the spread of coverage, because the pension sector as it is now is really in the formal sector. And when you look at the working population of Uganda, if you even put it at around 20 to 25 million, the working population, not even 3 million are covered by pensions.
I think my main message to UBRA is, first of all, to thank the CEO, Mr. Martin Nsubuga, and his team for supporting the pension reforms that have taken place so far, but also to remind the team that there's still some work to be done. It's not over, there's still some reforms that need to be done, particularly in the area of limiting access to long-term savings. So Martin and team, please don't rest. There's still some more work to be done to grow the domestic savings base of this country.
We feel that as a committee, UBRA needs to make itself more visible in Uganda, place itself, let the people of Uganda know what they are doing, let the people of Uganda know why they should save for retirement.
If you were to ask me, what should UBRA's next 10 years focus on? I would say that UBRA's next 10 years should be to now build this 20 trillion asset base that has been generated, should actually be able to ensure a comfortable life in retirement for all members who are in the retirement schemes. But UBRA should also then allow and come up with mechanisms to support the players to be able to onboard all the smallholders, all the informal sector to come in and secure their retirement by participating and joining the licensed pension schemes in the market.
And so my thinking is that we need to support the institution, particularly Parliament of the Republic of Uganda, needs to support resource mobilization for allocation to the authority so that the authority can continue with the widening the coverage.
People now, instead of keeping money in boxes, will keep here, and it is in the financial sector, and it's easy to tap in. And the cost of money will go down, but our investment in the country will go high. And I can tell you, if we make very good regulations, we have the support of Parliament.
I believe that the next 10 years are quite pivotal. We've gone through the best building of the industry, and right now we are at the point where we have to be tasked with generating value for our clients and exhibiting relevance over the next 10 years. I'm very, very confident. In fact, I'm really proud of the work that has been done for the last 10 years, and my imagination runs wild. What is possible for the next 10 years?
And the other key achievement that or work in progress that UBRA is trying to do, which I again encourage different stakeholders in this sector, particularly Parliament, to support UBRA, is the coming up with a national micro pension scheme. Uganda is our economy is largely informal, and even within the cities we have so many people who are operating informally, and yet they earn income either daily, either weekly or monthly. They earn income in one way or the other. But if not well guided, and I think this particular scheme, the micro pension scheme, would again help reorganize our people in the formal sector to put something aside. Because if you are in our market today, if you're a road vendor today, if you're a hawker today, if you're a border today, if you're a fisherman today, you still have that energy to go nearly every day in the waters and do fishing, to go to Nakawa market every morning to pick tomatoes, vegetables. But that strength with time, as years come by, begins to dwindle. That means the same basket that you can carry now, you are not able to carry in the next 5 years or 10.
So our focus, what really keeps us awake when I wake up in the morning, that drives my day, protection of members' funds.
So what I see going forward for the next 10 years is an organization that is efficient, that is creating value for the benefits. Efficiency meaning when I contribute, I must be guaranteed that 20 years from now, 30 years from now, when I retire, my money will be there. And ensuring that the monies that I contribute are invested in assets that will make my money grow. Not just putting in 1 shilling, and 20 years you're paid 1 shilling. When I put in 1 shilling, I should be paid 100 shillings at the end of 30 years. And that's the objective, and that's efficiency.
I think to the customer out there, who might not even think they are a customer because you ride a border, you are in the garden, you don't even have anything to your name, UBRA will find you wherever you are and will look after you, because it's their mandate to look after you in retirement. And they can only look after you in retirement if you avail yourself now. And all they want to do for you is to make sure that when you hang up your boots, when I hang up this jacket in retirement, UBRA wants me to live a fulfilled life, a life bereft of poverty, a life of joy and happiness. And UBRA works with people and different entities to deliver that. As service providers, I think we'd want to say congratulations again, UBRA. We feel the heat sometimes, but we are ready for the task.
As we celebrate, let's also remember that there are those who are not yet part of the saving culture, and we find ways of bringing them forward. I wish you a happy celebration.
As we celebrate 10 years of service protecting retirement benefits in this country, allow me to thank the Board of Directors of Uganda Retirement Benefits Regulatory Authority. You have been very instrumental and very focused. Allow me also to thank the staff and management of UBRA. You have supported the cause. Allow me also to thank my predecessors, the first interim CEO, Mr. Moses Bekavio, the Chief Executive Officer, my immediate predecessor, Mr. Bonyi David Nyakundi, the government of Uganda, who have supported us, providing us with all the resources that we need from the day UBRA started up to now, the regulated entities, the stakeholders, the fund managers, the custodians, the administrators. Without you, we would not be talking of structures of governance in this market. And of course, the members who are saving, who have trusted us, who have continuously saved with the different schemes. Allow me to assure you that as we deliberate on this direction for the next years of service, at UBRA, we shall continue to protect your retirement benefits. May God bless you. May God bless your families. May God bless our country, Uganda. Let us celebrate as we thank God.
It's a CEO Bench. My name is Eddie Okila, and this is House of Talent Television. Welcome to the program this week. I know all of you guys are wondering, it's changed time from 11 to 12? What's going on? Well, sometimes we make an exception for the guest, and the guest coming back on the show today on part 2. He was on the show about a week ago. 16 years or so at Makerere University, the so-called the Great University of Africa. Once the greatest university of Africa. We don't know whether we're still there, but he's been on that street and living there, going to refactory is where he is now at Clark International University. We'd like to take this moment to welcome Mr. Michael Niyitegeka back on the show on part 2, while we discuss rethinking education and of course repositioning education for purpose. Michael, welcome back to the program.
Thank you, Eddie. Pleasure being able to be back, and thank you for inviting me. I hope that is an endorsement that there was a lot of value in what I shared.
Yes, there was a lot of value in what you shared, obviously, and people loved it, and so many people voted and says, "Can we have a part 2 of Michael coming back to the program?" And we want to just discuss a few things that you touched very, deeply last time, or you scratch on the surface, and this time around we want to focus on the CEO Bench, looking for people on the top. You were on the top at Makerere University, and you were handling quite a number of things then, and you left and you went to, family, staying home for sometimes, doing your own things, and then before we know it, you were at refactory. Or at Clark International University and doing the same thing again, but this time around from a different perspective altogether, skilling people. Now, the CEO Bench looks at people who have been on the top, are on the top, or are going to the top, and when they are coming back from the top, they are managing change. What kind of change are they managing? How do we deal with this change? So we discussed this quite a bit on the CEO Bench, just basically give us a learning of, picking, from you guys who have been up there, done that. What lesson can we pick from you? How do we position ourselves to keep learning from you guys going forward? And so the show today is focusing on the education system and the repurposing of education system, as you would like to put it normally. So to start with, Michael, our education system that we know, that the British left with us, seems to be teaching us only how to operate the machine and not to create the machine itself. Is that the case?
The easier part is to blame.
Okay.
Because blame takes away responsibility.
Okay.
And for me, it's like I said, it's the easier part. The harder part is to do it different. Because once you've done with the blaming, then what next? Because we can blame everybody else you really think is extremely critical. But what next? And I think for me that's the most important thing. So has the education system, or what the British left us, has it evolved? Has it given us the impetus for us to reflect and rethink what we need to do? I think yes, there is need for us, and probably the time has long gone, if I could put it that way. We should have done that maybe about 20 years ago. Fit for purpose. And I'll give examples where I think we blame ourselves. We got to know that we have oil in this country in I can't quite remember the time when we had the first discovery pronounced.
It's actually believed that it was known in the Oboti one.
Exactly.
In 1960, I think it was 68.
And until 2000 something, I think before I left Makerere, we didn't have any program for oil and gas.
Oil, wow.
Yeah.
But we've known this thing for all this long.
We knew that there was oil. We knew probably going to be an opportunity.
Yeah.
We knew these opportunities required expertise,
Yeah.
but we never acted. Like even when entities like Talo and that started doing a bit of going beyond just discoveries to setting up, it took us another 10 years to have a degree program set up.
Wow.
So do I want to still blame the colonialist?
Certainly not. I mean,
Not.
it's something we want to do here.
Yeah, because technically what should have happened is if you don't have the competence or the capacity, is hire the people to come and set up the program for you.
Yeah.
Equip you, give you the skill, then they take off.
Yeah.
So our inability to move from where we are to where we should have been, I can't entirely blame it on the colonialists. They gave us a handle.
Yeah.
The question is, do you stay onto that handle or do you use that handle to move to the next level?
Yeah.
That's the first bit. The other example that I always give is, so when I had an opportunity, when I was still in Makerere University, we built our IT programs based on what you call the Association of Computing Machinery Framework, which is a US-based framework.
Yeah.
Now, that US-based framework identifies 5 computing disciplines. It identifies computer science, information technology, information systems, computer engineering, software engineering. These are 5 disciplines in computing.
Which is very important. They're the core.
Okay, so they are tracks, they're actually professions, each of them.
Yeah.
Now, each of these 5 is an industry in the US.
And for us here, each of them is not...
Each of these 5 is an industry.
Yeah.
Now, we picked that framework, brought it here, and implemented it wholesome.
As one unit?
No,
Yeah.
as 5 different
as 5
programs.
different units, yes.
Now, when you look at the way our industry is structured in the region, not just Uganda, Africa, I don't think you have 5 distinct industries. What is happening is that each of these guys that graduate from university then end up and converge into a place called software engineering. So all these guys are converging into something they call software engineering. Now what that means is that you are educating people for a convergence point, but yet you are, because they are trained as professionals. It's
in each discipline.
in each discipline.
Yeah.
It's trained as a profession.
Yeah.
Now, because of that, that convergence, then people get disappointed because the opportunities have not necessarily been IT, information systems. Actually, Makerere has merged 2, information systems and information technology into one.
Wow.
So that for me is some of the things that we need to, what do we want our people to do for us in our market? How is the structure? The person who has trained as an electrical engineer, where are they working? If you're trained as an agricultural engineer, I come from Fort Portal where we have tea estates, and one of the challenges they have is finding agricultural engineers on the estate.
Well, yet we are producing these guys.
They're graduating.
They're graduating.
They're graduating.
We're channeling them out.
Yeah. So those are the disparities that we have in our ecosystem.
Wow.
Now, and all this requires us to be very intentional in spending time in industry to understand what is industry looking for.
Which is what you call fit for the purpose.
Fit for purpose, yes.
Right. Michael, that said, by the way, I just wanna, is that a question of us from, I'm just listening to you from the 5 pillars of the computing
discipline,
disciplines, and then you're saying you picked it from the US, you brought these things here, and you trained each of these people, and they went and converged in one thing called software engineering.
Well, those are the opportunities.
Yes, which is available.
Yeah,
that's what the market has offered for them.
A couple of years ago, we had guys who were doing networking.
Yes.
Networking was one of the... Okay, you didn't have a degree to... You didn't require a degree for you to be able to do cabling.
Yes.
But you see, that has been replaced by Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, so I can
So
come...
some of us who did CCNA, we are no longer...
Yeah, you no longer need to do trunking and all that kind of stuff.
Basically, I'm obsolete. I mean,
to an extent, you're still relevant.
Yeah.
But probably what used to be extremely very important
Yeah.
is changing very fast.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
In terms of the roles. Now, does that require a degree? Probably not. It requires a diploma, and you're good to go.
Yeah. So that's what you're saying, that we need to, fit for purpose, rethink this thing, and put it for the purpose that the industry is looking for.
Exactly.
Now, that said, Michael, why is it that it's taking us so long? We want to borrow from you. You were, in university and still really in the university. Of course, this time around, we're seeing you talk about skilling more than it was, at the great University of Makerere of East Africa. The question here, therefore, is how come it's taking us so long and we're not seeing it? Is it because the people in academia are not seeing it? Is it because of the policies that we have from the government point of view and not sort of like bringing this together? What is it that we're not doing right?
I think the bigger challenge is who is in the conversations.
Yeah.
That is the bigger challenge.
Okay.
I always ask, our children have gone through our education system, primary. You look at the amount of content they study, like in social studies, Nyamwiru, Nyamwamba, Moanga, those things.
Yes.
One time I was traveling with my daughter from Fort Porto, and we get to Mitiana, and I say, hey, we shall see Lake Wambala, and it's like, wow, very close here, there is a big hole. If you go there in Mubende, you will disappear because there is Walumbe. And I'm like, sweetheart, I wish you knew that stuff actually is let me not disappoint you.
At your level, you're hearing this thing and the reality is striking you in the face.
Because when we're studying it, of course, you used to think there's a guy who is going underground and he's moving. Of course, it made a lot of sense then. But the question is, so what do I want to have my daughter, who is in primary, deal with? Because, yes, and we can argue that maybe because she's in Kampala, she's exposed a little bit more. But even the guy who is up country, the guy who is in the village school, how can I make them become socially responsible? Because that's the essence of social studies, really. That you have socially responsible citizens being groomed.
Which in tandem will give you what we're looking for.
Exactly. So in this era that we are in, because I'm sure there was a time when belief in other gods or other powers was very important. The god of the rain, the god of the sun, the god of whatever.
But the question here is, Michael, just to interject, I don't see how relevant that is, because it's not a reality of things. It's not a reality. It doesn't help me with, it's where does it fit?
Probably, Eddie, that's what I'm trying to say. Probably there was a time when that was relevant. Probably there was a time when that was relevant. You get it? We can talk about the Ugandan areas and how it was built from Mombasa to here. But where is it? You get it? So, and I'm not saying that they shouldn't learn how Uganda came into existence. We definitely need to have the history around how the Riri came into Uganda and that whole thing. But the broader aspect is we should be asking ourselves, at the end of 7 years
Yeah.
of introduction to social studies,
Yeah.
are these guys socially responsible? Do they understand the value of elections?
Yeah.
Do they understand the value of boundaries?
Yeah.
Do they understand the value of what are those things that every person needs to have?
Yeah.
So that by the time they go to secondary school, because they're now teenagers,
Yeah.
they have another level of
understanding.
thinking and understanding. That would be, that's how to approach it. Same as, let's say, science. What are those things that they can relate with?
Yeah.
I know they're making sense.
Yes, you're making a lot of sense.
So that
I'm trying to process that information.
Yes,
as we
so
talk.
that in the day-to-day life,
Yeah.
they're able to see the application of science.
Yeah.
The challenge we have is that a lot of these things remain very abstract.
Yeah. Because there is no practical ability of this, we don't
Exactly,
practice of it. Yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
Because then they can see the real value.
Yeah.
They can see the real value. I've seen children who you take to upcountry and you say, the milk you drink actually comes from here. And they're like, no. Because in their education,
There is no
they
internet
have
between the two.
not seen that relationship. But they will tell you the value of milk, calcium, and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so man, I can go on and on.
No, it's actually very good. This is CEO Bench. We are talking to Mr. Michael Niyitegeka about repurposing education to fit the need of our times. You know, we are talking about these things and look like, you know, it's not serious, but these are really very serious stuff. You have a son, a daughter. How do they reason? Given the education you are now giving them right now, how are they reasoning with whatever they have right now? Forget about COVID-19 coming and setting us apart and, you know, putting us like miles way back from where we were. Maybe COVID has actually just presented us opportunity to be able to rethink about some of the things that Michael is talking about. And Michael, just before we take a break, I want to just, you know, pose this question to you. I know I wanted you to answer it, but where are we not getting it right? And how can we get back to these things that you've highlighted to actually start saying, you know what, these are the things we need to do? Because we have some really good brains in academia space, and we have some really, Uganda has some of the most educated people on planet Earth, I'm told.
Well, yes. I'm not sure we have
brains,
the most.
I mean, the
most
northern part of the people from the northern part of Uganda had there are so many educated people, really serious degrees, and now we're beginning to see some of them in central Uganda and some of them in western Uganda. How come we're not taking advantage of this?
Yeah, so education is positioned from the value of education has largely been based on academic ability.
Yes.
So ability to pass the exam. That has been the basis of education, if I could put it that way. So the person who is able to pass the exam is rated the most brilliant. Education hasn't looked back to say, can we also give an opportunity to the person who is able to do? And I'll give an example. One time, we wanted to, there was an opening at Makerere University in the Faculty of IT. And that opening was for a junior, an assistant, no, a teaching assistant, which is, the requirement is first degree. Now for me, in our wisdom, we were like, okay, we are looking for somebody who has demonstrated ability to pass on knowledge. The requirement is to become a teaching assistant is you need to have a first class, well, it's really based on academics. So we advertise, we sit at the faculty, and I make a case for a young man who had invested quite a lot when he was in year 2. He was teaching his colleagues, like he was running seminars for students. And for me, right there, I was like, this guy,
He's the right person.
he has the ability to join the academia because he has the heart to teach.
Yeah.
So we make a recommendation to appointments board and it was rejected. And the condition was, for you to become a teaching assistant, you don't need experience.
You need academic qualification.
The person who was given the opportunity was from another university who had a first class
degree.
And yeah, I'll leave it there. I'll leave it there.
So how does that make you feel, like, Michael, when you probably you're seeing the difference between the reality and the deception, that all of them are placed in close proximity for you to see it, and how do you go ahead to convince, to say, look, this young man may not even ever get a first-class degree, but the impact of what he's already doing at this level is greater than the impact of the person who has a first-class degree. Is there a case like that?
He missed first class by not such a huge margin because he had an upper second, which is like second to first class.
Yes.
But the fact that appointments board threw this out, and guess what this guy did? This guy went and set up a training academy in Wandegea.
Yeah.
And we were sending our students to go and do internship in his academy. And he met me and told me, he says, in his first cohort, he made a turnover of over, I think, close to 100 million.
Yes.
And a net profit of about 70 million.
Wow.
I'm like,
which the colleague of the first class degree from another university will take him so long to probably publish so many papers to try and get it.
Of course.
Yes.
But you see, that's where sometimes, and I don't blame university, because you see, universities world over take a very long time. Like I said, universities are like elephants. They need to turn here. They will first go to Kisimenti, turn, and then come back. By the time they get to Kisimenti, it's 10 years.
The road to come back is 10 years.
By the time they come back here,
it's 20 years.
20 years.
Yeah.
This place has already moved to another point. And that's universities world over. The difference is that we're probably not copying up in universities like in Europe or Canada. I had an opportunity to visit a university in Canada. And they have already created positions of professors of practice. So, Eddie, based on the work that you're doing right now here, you would be appointed a professor of practice in the mass comm department because you are in practice. You don't need a first-class degree to go and teach.
Which is better than the person who is teaching without practice.
Exactly. Now, when you look at our education structure, you, other than the teacher, secondary, primary education, at university level, you get a first class, upper second, you're the one who is retained. You go ahead and do a master's, you go ahead and do a PhD, but you've had limited practice. In secondary and primary, the people that have failed to make it to university are the ones who end up in education.
Technical schools, yes.
And the technical schools. And there is the imbalance, if I could put it that way. So this guy goes into education not because it's a desire. It's because that's what is
pushed there because
available.
he failed somewhere. The education system.
I wouldn't want to, because the education system defined you as less academic qualified to join university. But does that make you less competent in other fields? Probably not.
That's absolutely true.
Now, to change that system is not something that we're going to dream of. Like it's going to happen. And so opportunities like Refactory are there to demonstrate that we can actually remodel. Now, for me, the advantage I have is the agility. I am agile.
Yes, the flexibility
as Refactory. So, what is industry looking for? I change it. Now, my hope is that I then have the ability to infect positive infection here.
Yes, yes.
I have the ability to infect the education system to begin rethinking some of the stuff they are doing.
Wow.
And that is happening world over. That's happening world over. And we can coexist. We can coexist and say, okay, you do your main academic stuff, I'll help you in the skilling side, preparing people for the world of work. Yeah. By the time they realize that they can actually do both, like I said, they'll first go, 20 years,
come back. 20 years, which is 40 years.
Well, 10. Yes, 40 years.
Yes, the CEO bench will go for a break, and when we come back, we will be looking deeply into the question of you failed in school, but you are more excellent at practice, and you are better than those who got the first class. And of course, the studies are quite very clear. We've seen these people who are academically very bright. They say it's very bright, but they are walking and drinking, and they are mad on the streets. And the one who was never academically very sound in class is actually running a factory, or is running an industry, or they've built a conglomerate of business, you know, structures, whatever we call it. That in itself is a disparity that needs a very big discussion to happen. And that's what that's what Michael Nietegeka is helping us to understand. It's also important to know that Michael has 16 years under his belt as a man who has been, you know, teaching, but also at some point he was directly involved in setting up exams at Makerere University. And of course, who better discuss this when he's talking about refactory, reskilling people. We're live on Facebook, we're live on Twitter, and of course we're live on YouTube. If you're finding any problem on YouTube, on Facebook, please dive to Twitter, and please send us your kisses and disses. We want to hear from you. What are your comments about the education system and rethinking about the education system to actually fit the purpose that Michael is talking about? We'll be right back after this break. This is the CEO Bench.
An army of sheep led by a lion will beat an army of lions led by a sheep. That's a fake. Yeah. So let's be very honest about this thing, and really understand that you need to understand where you lie and where you fall. So it's very important for us to understand that leadership has to be definitive. You can't be laissez-faire. It has to be definitive. You have to be strong, just like a lion. You know, when a lion meets an elephant or a buffalo or whatever, the buffalo and all these animals run away. And yet, by the way, they are stronger than the lion. They are heavier than the lion. They are more intelligent than the lion. They are taller than the lion. They run away. The lion, because of its attitude, it sees lunch. That is a leader.
Mr. Tonatra, thank you very much for coming to the CEO Bench. And I want to ask you, so if you were elected the President of the Republic of Uganda today, what would be your first State of Nation address? Now, as you look into the camera and close the show,
I think my first State of the Nation address would first of all to I think I'll just close it down.
Welcome back from that break. My name is Eddie Okila, and this is CEO Bench. In the studio is Michael Nietegeka, who we're talking to about repurposing education for, you know, the job market in Uganda. I mean, you can talk about Kenya, you can talk about Tanzania, you can talk about any other country in Africa, but we want to focus here in Uganda. And this particular CEO bench is talking about how do we, you know, reorganize our education system to basically fit and start focusing on more skilling of people and making sure that everyone that is out there is able to get a job at some point. Michael, welcome back to the program.
Thank you.
I just want to take you straight to this question we've always had before. You've seen, you know, these people who high school, primary school, in high school, they were always excellent. They always teach you. You know, you don't understand SST, they are very good when the teacher finishes class like this, then they take you from that point.
Yeah.
And they never read. There was no this thing of burning books at night. They were always, they say they read 1 week to the exam.
Yeah.
And they always, you know, win. They're always on top of the class. And then, you know, they come out from secondary school, Namilengo College, Buddha Junior, or wherever we're going. And then the next thing we know, they're out of the university, and then they are back on the streets. And then you meet the person, you say, but this guy was the brightest guy in my class, or this lady was the brightest lady in my class, and they just don't look it. Then you find a guy who was like always the 3rd grade person in class. Okay, somehow in senior 4 actually got the 4th grade, and then they said you cannot continue to senior 6. Yes, and then you find this person is running a very serious business. They said, I went through this technical school, then from this technical school, I went to university, but when I went to university, I went and studied this thing, so I'm now doing this. In fact, I went to university much later, after 10 years of me practicing and working. And then you start to say, you begin to have this question in your mind, what went wrong? Why do we have this difference? You are in the skilling space with refactory, but also you are now more qualified to talk about this thing. Can you help us understand why we have this situation?
Yeah, like I said, our education system is one way, academic ability.
Yeah.
And so the opportunity for people to navigate to other areas is limited. I'm also not a believer of if you have failed here, then we must, like this whole approach of enterprise. We're going to teach people how to start a business, how to manage a business.
Yes.
Not everybody is crafted for business.
True.
Not everybody is crafted to run a business or to start a business. There are those of us who will be exceptional at running other people's business, not our business. Yeah. So if you had to ask me, we need to have, in business we call it pivots.
Yes.
So we need to have multiple outlets that if by the time I get to senior 4, academic ability is not my strength. So I can't memorize, it's not my strength. My strength is in working with my hands, doing stuff. Maybe I don't need to go to senior 6. I just need to go into that place called a technical college, or if music is my passion, if music is my passion, if sports is my passion, I need to take that direction. Probably I don't even have to go to senior 1. Yeah. I don't have to take the whole academic space. And it's that recognition that education is not about you being in this track called school.
Yeah.
That education is about making you a responsible citizen that can contribute to the well-being of the economy because you're productive. That's the essence of education. Now, having those multiple outlets then helps as many people as possible begin to see value in education. It doesn't matter which areas you're tracking in. There are certain fundamentals that you need to have. You need to learn how to live with other people. You need to learn how to work with other people. We then make those the foundational requirements. Because at any one time, those things are going to be critical. They're going to be necessary. So if you approach it from that direction, then you'll find people sailing in systems. They don't have to. I met a historian who is working with Facebook as a software engineer. But his first degree is history, his second degree is economics. He's never studied software engineering.
But he's working with Facebook as
a software engineer. So what I'm trying to say is that, and these verticals are possible. It's not rocket science. We just need to recognize them. That's number one. Number two is that there is a lot of investment that is required to educate us, the parents, to think beyond law, accounting, medicine, engineering. We need to think beyond that education is not a vertical.
What we call the linear vertical.
That education is, like I said, making me a responsible citizen who contributes to the well-being, to the development of my economy, of my country. Now, whether I'm a musician, whether I'm a guy who is making noise by the roadside, the question is, do I have the awareness that I have a responsibility to contribute to the well-being of this country? Doesn't matter whether you studied physics or not. That should be the foundational stuff. Now, if those things are taken care of, then this guy who is super brilliant, but struggles to find relevance, and because he struggles, probably his wire has gone nuts. Also shows that they don't have to go through. I mean, we've seen people who have gone through education because
the world, the society demand for you to go through and to be able to approve anything you are going to
I mean,
do.
we've read about guys who have gotten their degrees below the age of 20 because the system there recognizes that their mental ability is far above the average or even close to the super. So their ability to process knowledge is way above. So they are not taken, you must go through the 3 terms of school. No. Are you there? Do these things make sense to you quickly? Can we test you at the next level? Yes. Can we test you at the next level? Yes. Can we test you at the next level? That level of flexibility,
you're saying needs to be there.
Needs to be there. Needs to be there. But for that to happen, requires leadership.
What kind of leadership are we looking at, Michael?
Leadership that appreciates that people cannot be a box. That you must do 7 years of primary, 4 years of O-level, 2 years of A-level, 3 years of university.
Or 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. That leadership that appreciates that humanity is diverse, that humanity has a multiplicity of capabilities, but making sure that each of us can thrive and strive in the environment. Now, then what leadership does is create the environment. That's why you don't need to have done biology for you to be a nurse in the US, because they have come to appreciate nursing is care. It's not human medicine. It's not about understanding the chemical composition of no, it's understanding that nursing is about care.
And care doesn't require you to have so much in biology.
It's understanding that so you'll understand the human body, you'll understand. So if somebody says, I'm feeling this, you can process. I mean, you go to a massage parlor and somebody says, okay, where do you feel? And they will start pressing. And you're like, but the people you will say, okay, this one seems to know what they're pressing. There are others, it's like, they don't care, really. Their work is to
press you and give you this.
If you say, So you see what I'm trying to say?
Yes, I get you very much.
And that's how we are evolving and evolving rather fast. I mean, for me, that's the reason why at Refactory I don't require any qualification to enroll. It's passion, period. If you can demonstrate to me you have the interest and passion, you're in. Academic qualification added advantage.
Wow.
But I don't even look at it. I'll not even say you have a degree, be this side, you don't have a degree this side. No, everybody there.
In the same hole.
Let's see.
Wow. This is the CEO Bench, and we're talking to Mr. Michael Niyitegeka, who is from Refactory, and of course, you know, the man at Clark International University, and of course the country, you know, regional country manager for ICDL, which we always want to know what it means.
So ICDL is a digital certification program.
Okay.
And it started in Europe, and in Europe it was called the European Computer Driving License.
Yes.
In Europe, when it started, the argument was you need a license to drive a car.
Yeah.
And so they also, the British Computer Society,
Yes.
then also decided to say, wait, you also need probably close to a license to be able to use a computer.
Yes.
And so they called it the European Computer Driving License.
Yes, yes.
But because it's now gone beyond Europe,
Yeah.
it's now called the International Digital Skills Standard.
Yeah.
The ICDL is used to be the International Computer Driving License.
Yeah.
And our primary focus is to equip people with skills to use computing technology for productivity.
Wow.
Because there are quite a number of people who have laptops, but they never go beyond Microsoft Word.
Yeah. And playing music.
If they're good.
Yes, on desktop.
Because once you go to playing music, then you can navigate applications.
Yes.
But that's the reality.
Yeah.
Or PowerPoint. The people who they struggle with PowerPoint.
Yeah.
They just pick text and dump it there, but they don't realize that there's a science, there's an art around having captivating slides that people want to keep watching and following what you're sharing.
Wow.
So that's what we really focus on. Okay. In a number of countries, this standard has been made a framework of skilling. Rwanda, Kenya, Egypt, Nigeria, they've made ICDL a standard. So anybody who is getting into the world of work, you need to have this as your standard.
Wow. Well, I mean, Michael, thank you very much for so far. The first part of the show has been really very interesting. I have a couple of questions here for you on the Messenger, and I will start from a gentleman who says, Edio Killer, thank you very much for bringing Michael to the program. Part 2, I'm loving it. I waited for this moment to come. I've always had issues with an education system in Uganda and in most parts of Africa. We don't seem to focus on skilling. When you're in the African continent, you never see the gap until the day you step out of the continent and you go to another continent. That's when you realize it's all about skilling. I live and work in Germany. Germany is about technical skill. Germany is about skilling people. There is no job you're going to get in Germany when you don't have skills. When they say is an engineer, or you are an engineer who can do. I'm an engineer based in Germany, but my engineering is having a lot of repurposing and rethinking right now. I'm even back in school because some of the things they are able to do, I'm not able to do. Michael is spot on.
Thank you.
Edio Killer, thank you very much. I'm a Ugandan. I live and work in Nigeria. Okay, I moved in between Germany and Uganda. Again, the same thing Michael is talking about is true. The whole of Europe is about skilling. They will never give you, you'll never find an engineer or a doctor who cannot create or invent something. So we need to really think about our education system. And the question I have for Michael, how come it's taking Uganda, for example, such a long time with all these brilliant brains we have in Uganda? And if Michael is coming from Makerere University, why is it that the big university is actually not taking care of this. But Michael has left university in Makerere.
I left Makerere. Yeah,
so Michael, there is a question for you. Yeah,
I hear him.
He's saying, why is it taking us too long to repurpose, to repurpose and to rethink about this thing moving forward?
I shared with you, Eddie, in the break, that it takes humility, especially from people who regard themselves as brilliant.
Yeah.
Like you've passed, you're a professor. It takes humility for you to spend time with a guy who is in Katwe and he's recycling motors.
Yeah.
It takes humility to bring that guy in and use that guy as a basis for your training. It takes humility. So the reason we are where we are is who. Let's go to the different entities or the different authorities. If you go to the National Council of Higher Education, brilliant people there. Majority of them have come straight from education, mainstream education or universities. They are managing National Council of Higher Education.
Yeah.
You would want to see a lot of industry play there, because then they would inform whether these programs are fit for purpose.
Yeah.
The same as probably I haven't had an opportunity to be at the National Curriculum Development Center, so I can't ably talk about it. But it's more or less like what we are seeing with some of these education programs that are coming through. So my starting point is humility.
As a country, we are not humble, or as professors?
Well, I don't want to say as a country. Remember I said about leadership?
Yeah.
It is that leadership. To say, okay, can we sit and work out something that works for both of us?
Yeah.
Because at the end of it all, I don't want the person who has studied in Uganda not to be able to compete favorably with somebody who has studied in the UK.
Yeah.
So where do we meet? The middle ground is that I want this person to graduate and become relevant for the economy called Uganda.
Yeah.
So you, the employer, called New Vision, when you are hiring a journalist, what do you look out for?
Yeah.
So tell me the 5 things you want to see in any graduate.
Okay.
And how do I teach them? Because that's my practice. So it's co-creation.
Yeah.
And so universities and any training institution needs to invest in that co-creation process.
Wow.
Yeah, it needs to happen. Having been at Makerere and doing the things that I was able to do, when I left Makerere, I was like, is there a possibility to design a degree program that is able to, in IT, that is able to deliver a graduate who is responsive to the dynamics of this. And I was given the opportunity at Clark International University, so I was involved with another colleagues of mine.
Yeah.
We designed a program called the Bachelor of Applied Computing Technology.
Yes.
And that brings all the 5 facets that I talked about into one degree.
In computing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I then spent time trying to understand how our ecosystem is designed.
Yeah.
And I found there are basically 3 key components in our ecosystem.
Yeah.
Component 1 is infrastructure.
Yeah.
A lot of guys must be involved in infrastructure.
Yeah.
Component 2 is component 2 is applications.
Yeah.
Component 3 is business.
Which is very important.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the degree program is designed on,
a stratum of 3 things.
Yes, at the end of the 3 years, you will either come through the infrastructure piece, and that could have servers, could have cloud, could have, or the applications, which is about software development and that kind of stuff. And then business is how you deal with technology to sell technology.
Wow, which is what they're calling the business, the enterprise part of the technology.
Thank you.
Wow. Well, it's a CEO Bench. My name is Eddie Okila, and of course we're talking to Michael Niyitegeka, Refactory. If you haven't checked out Refactory, probably go onto the website and check them out. And of course they are there to skill and to, you know, close the gap in the education system. The CEO Bench is on this topic today, refocusing the discussion on how we can make our education system fit for our market. Michael, just before we go for another break, and something very interesting. I love another, you know, message here from another Ugandan. Seems to be many Ugandans working in Germany now. Edwin says, I live and work in Germany, Eddie Okila. One of the things that Mike has talked about, which is key right now, is skilling. I wish I had learned and known the things I know today. I would be much better. Sometimes I sit here and I'm asking myself, my entire 3 years doing a degree, 4 years doing a degree as an engineer did not help me that much. I came to Germany, and in Germany everything is about doing it your way and doing it yourself. Now I needed to furnish my house, and I had no woodwork skill at all. Then I remember the only time we came close was something called art and craft. And that is the only skill I had, and it was short-lived. So I looked for somebody to put furniture in my house, and it was very difficult. Then I was told, this is a skill you don't need somebody to come for. And whenever you call the person to come and do it, it's too expensive. The next thing that I've always struggled with is plumbing. I now do my plumbing in my own house myself, living in Germany, because it's expensive to call that person to come and do that job, and they're extremely expensive. They're only hired by top big companies. So what Michael is saying, I like what Michael is saying about leadership. Now, can Michael break it down as a person coming from academia? What type of leadership is needed? Because we keep talking about leadership, but what kind of leadership? Can he break it down, knowing the intricate, you know, matters that lies behind these things that he's talking about? He's used some big English words right there, Michael. That's Edwin right there, you know, coming from Germany, and thank you very much. And we want to encourage all of you guys to basically share as much as possible, send as much as possible what you have, and Michael will definitely, you know, be able to answer it. Michael, dive into it.
Yeah, like I said, leadership that has that level of humility to appreciate that. You know, when I said when you complete senior one, what should be able to do on your own.
Yes.
When you complete senior 4, what should you be able to do? I went to St. Leo's in Fort Portal, and we had a metal workshop with all these machines. So literally they could repair the beds. They could, like, the workshop was I think after I left, I went back recently, and metal workshop is no longer in existence.
They shut it down?
Yeah, because of the maintenance, the budgets and all that kind of stuff, and because the money they're getting from, let's say, the education ministry is not enough to support that kind of supporting. So let me give you an example. Before COVID, senior guys in senior 6 would complete exams in November, and they will not go back to school until September. And as a country, we didn't have any program for them.
Yeah, we all went through that. In fact, I think this has improved. For us, we used to go for 1 year and literally and a half waiting for exams to come back before you go to senior 5 and senior 6.
So, and yet, that is the time when you repurpose these guys. That's when you give them these skills for life.
In Europe, they go for national service.
Exactly.
In America, they go for national service. In Nigeria, I learned yesterday that there's something you go for national service when you are done.
Yeah, but you see, the challenge with national service has already been attached to military. It doesn't have to be military. You can be part of a road construction. You can be part of, if they're doing lorries, you can be in the guys who are doing the dams. The essence is that you get to work on a life project. And you're deployed. It could be, I was in Rwanda, and the youth in a given community are required to have one project. And that project could be building a latrine. That project could be building a classroom. That project, and they have to do it themselves.
And if somebody is going to supervise?
No, they supervise themselves.
Okay.
They supervise themselves. So that's the intentionality.
Yeah.
They're either going to tailoring school, like those 9 months. By the time you go to university, you must have a certificate of completion. That you either did tailoring, you worked on a road project, you...
Come to think about it, Michael, when I was young, when we were finishing school, there was this thing called secretarial studies.
Yeah.
And whenever we'll do senior 4, we would go for it. And we learned how to typewrite immediately. We learned how to, typeset letters and, write official letters and how it's addressed. That's how I learned how to put the heading of the letter when I'm addressing. If you're addressing a letter to the president, this is how it looks like. If you're addressing a letter to, a mayor, this is how it looks like. If the formatting of the letter. Where went these things? We used to have them as secretarial studies. It's no longer there, and it used to be skilling. And we learned how to use typewriters.
Yeah, the role secretarial has since been taken over because I no longer need a secretary.
Yeah. But the skilling of being, of knowing what to do.
I agree. Yes. And so the CEO now has to type his own letter.
Yeah.
The question. and it's no longer a letter.
Yeah.
It is an email.
Yes.
You get it?
Yes.
So there's been a shift.
Yes.
And that's some of the things we need really to pay attention to in terms of reality
Yeah.
and context.
Is there any, sort of like a skilling, program you have on how to structure digital
skills.
Email?
So we go back to digital skills.
Okay.
Because we've moved.
Yeah.
And part of communication skills that is taught
Yeah.
should really be focusing on that. How do I give you a skill to help you
be able to write an email when the person reads the other side says it's a compelling email that we need to be part of this.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
We're going to take a break, and when we come back, Michael and I will be diving into the last part of the show where we're talking about fit for purpose. That's what Michael is discussing today. It's a deep conversation. I've seen some people here from the US and from Canada. Somebody made a reference from Canada. I've seen Chris in Canada said, I'll have a question. I've seen another person coming up from Australia. So I'm going to read your questions. And of course, the Ugandan here, people at home, I know Facebook is a bit of a trick for you guys, but you can go to YouTube and send your kisses and disses or your questions or comments, whatever, whatever the case may be, and Michael definitely going to be able to get into it. The CEO bench will take a break, and when we come back, Michael and I will continue from there. Stay right there, I'll be right back. What is leadership to you, JP?
So for me, the leadership, I would say there are different components, but the most important is the art of knowing people.
Yeah.
How you know your clients, how you know your associates, your colleagues, and all the different stakeholders that are part of the business. How you know your bosses, your investors, how you know the key people that bring you business, the key relationship you must have in a market in order to make sure that thing goes smooth.
Yeah.
So I think this requires an openness of mindset.
Yes.
And I would say that for me, the fact again that I have 2 cultures, I live in different places, it helps a lot.
Okay.
You find similarities, of course. If I see how Ugandans are and how Brazilians are, they are not totally alike, but there are a lot of similarities. If I see how a French person is, or a German, or an American, they are very different. And difficult people. I know by the French side because I have my French family. I work in France. I work with French companies. So I learn how to deal with this. And so it's and now especially this past years working for Sheraton Group, it's more like Anglo-Saxon approach of,
Yes,
of
yes.
hospitality.
Yes.
So these also, so all these dimensions are very important. So it's knowing people, knowing the culture, the different generations you deal with. It's a very important.
Yeah.
It became more and more because the gap between generations have changed.
Yeah.
I would say, or I mean, people that analyze the market trends,
Yes, yes.
how things go. Before, a generation gap will be 10 years.
Yes, yeah.
Now it's shorter.
Yeah. It is a CEO Bench. My name is Edio Killer, Michael Niyitegeka in the studio, and we're discussing repurposing education for what it means to be or what it's supposed to be. In summary, I'm not even going to use much English to to try and bring this around. Michael, welcome back to the program.
Thank you.
Michael, we're in the last part of the show, and we just want to learn from you. A bunch of questions we're reading online are all coming as a result of people actually asking questions. Where do we start from? I have a very interesting comment here on Messenger. Edio Killer, thank you very much for bringing Michael back to the program. I'm loving this thing. I stayed up late to wait for this program to come. I wanted to hear what Michael would say about his thoughts on education system as a man who has been there. My name is James. I live and work in Canada. Michael has quoted something very important. When you come to Canada and you look at the education system in Canada and you go back to Uganda and look at what we have, they are completely two different worlds altogether. In my view, Makerere University and any other university in Uganda needs to start bringing people from the Kwagalana group who have businesses, running serious business downtown there, to come and give the lecturers in Makerere University lessons, or they should be given master's degree because they are teaching business administration and these guys are really practicing business administration and building. It is a disparity and a failure on our side to actually have a professor teaching what they have not practiced. These guys run business. A professor is teaching a business he has never been able to manage. How do we bridge the gap? Michael can help us throw more light in that.
Like I said, you see, education has, the ultimate goal of education is to expose you to approach.
Yes.
The guys in Kwagalana group are doing it.
Yeah.
But they may not give you a structure of how they are doing it.
Yes.
And what is that, and that should be the difference, that somebody who, and that's why people like Mandela, City Oil, are able to hire experts to come and run his business. He understands what he wants. He has certain principles, but Mandela is not going to the kitchen. Mandela wants the business to run. He wants the people that come to the restaurant to have a quality of service. And I think we should be asking ourselves the question, why are we seeing more Indians? And I have no problem with Indians in the hospitality business.
And it used to be Kenya.
But he told me, he said, look, the reason why I have these people is that because first they listen, number two is when they do work, they do it with everything that it takes. Because they understand that their growth depends on my growth as a business.
Oh yeah.
You get what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
So the guys who are teaching tourism and hospitality at university need to spend time with
Amos Wekesa, for example.
Okay,
and
so
tourism business.
People like Amos Wekesa, they don't need to take over the jobs of the lecturers.
Yeah.
The lecturers need to spend time with Amos Wekesa
To understand.
to understand and contextualize their delivery.
To fit the need.
Yes. The reason why at Refactory we have a 93% placement rate is simply because we have spent time with the guys in industry. Some of the people that are teaching on our programs don't have a degree, but they have on their belt projects they have delivered and executed. And so there's room for us to coexist. And that's one thing I really want to emphasize. There's room for us to coexist. There's room for universities to open up and education institutions to open up and say, you know what? We are going to focus on X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
How do we make this place a place for you? Yeah. So how do I tap the knowledge of Kwagalana? What the universities need to be doing is doing case studies.
Yeah.
And that's why Harvard Business Review, or I mean Harvard has what they call Harvard Business Review.
Yeah.
They spend time in industry.
Yeah.
And then they document that, and that's how they transmit knowledge. I have failed to understand why we don't have that very many case studies in Uganda being taught in business school.
Maybe because we don't have the infrastructure that allow us.
What infrastructure do we need, Eddie? To
But
go
by the
and
way,
spend time,
yeah.
rather than teach about McDonald's,
Yeah.
I teach
About
CJs.
Yeah. Okay, now I understand your point.
Why can't I write about Feed Right?
Yeah.
What is Feed Right doing
Yeah.
about African food or even K2 restaurant?
Yes.
Like these are the scenarios. When I teach some of the modules that I teach, I give examples that are from Uganda, and people are like, what? I never looked at it from that direction.
Perspective.
Yeah. So I can talk about Coca-Cola. It's a brilliant product.
Yeah.
But there's this gentleman.
Horace International.
Yes.
Yes.
With their rock, is it Rock Boom?
Rock Boom, yes.
Rock Boom is a case study, boss.
Yes.
It
is.
It should be a case study.
It is. I was counseling a young girl and who recently got a problem, and she got a sort of like a mild stroke, and I was wondering, and the discovery to her was, I'm using a lot of Rock Boom. So I asked why. She says, because the first time I drank the Rock Boom, something about it, and since then I have been drinking too much. I'm like, there's too much caffeine.
Yeah, so there's that aspect around it.
Yes.
But there's also a business aspect.
Yes.
There's something that he has discovered
Yes.
that has made him sell the product in the quantities that he is selling.
Which is exactly what, in essence, what the girl was saying. And we don't know what it is.
Thank you.
Yes.
So what we need is, as academician, to spend time with those guys, understand, document what we have understood from them, and then transfer that knowledge to our students. Because then you're contextualizing. 80% of the case studies that we have are not here.
They're not fit for our industry.
Can't even relate. Because they are from textbooks or materials that we've picked online.
Wow. I was recently teaching, coaching Michael just not very long ago, about a week ago. And I had this, I had the privilege and opportunity to teach transformational leadership, which is at the core of my heart. It's something I really love. It's something I've invested a lot of time doing research. So I was giving examples of some of the leadership styles and the leadership, behavior to make them understand. And I remember in one of the classes last week, it was a 2-day class in a big organization in Uganda. In fact, about 3 of them. And one person stood up and asked me, this is a leader, and said, how do you go in to get this kind of information, yet we're in the industry and we're always having research and development? Says even we have information being released by people like Ipsos and all these guys. But yet for you are giving us context and we've never looked at it. Then I ask him, I says, but the context is right in front of you. I mean, one of the examples I used was Bobi Wine versus Mzee Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, and then Kizza Besigye versus Bobi Wine, and I used Kizza Besigye versus Mzee Museveni, and I gave them the context. And it was difficult for them to understand. And I was just trying to paint a picture of laissez-faire kind of leadership versus autocratic. And then I was trying to look at the transformative leadership approach versus a democratic leadership approach. They live within us, but it was difficult. So I realized, whereas some of us take time to study these things, and I am a collector of President Museveni's speeches, from I don't know how long, and whenever he speaks, I go through it, then I make notes and I put these things, and I love listening to all these things. And then I realized that the research and development, the way he designed in Uganda, is absolutely very different. It gives a totally different information. Now, you've talked about it, and I want to ask a question, Michael.
Yeah.
How do we help Ugandans to start going deeply to say it is okay for you to use an example of Michael Nyitegeka and the refactory case as a case study to move forward, to change and to repurpose the education system going forward, borrow from there? How do we get Uganda to think that? Because we're always looking for something, but we never want to see what is good and with us.
So Eddie, what I will say is it really goes back to how do we teach? Do we teach for discovery or do we teach for remembrance? When I teach for discovery, the way I will deliver content will be totally different from the way I teach for remembrance. When I teach for discovery, I'm a facilitator.
Yeah.
I'm a facilitator of learning. I facilitate you to learn.
Yeah.
When I teach for remembrance, I teach you how to make the coffee.
Okay.
And the instance is, remember, this is how you
do this coffee.
Yes.
Here. Yes.
When I'm facilitating you, I see what you're doing, I then correct you.
Okay. Very tongue twisting, very brain.
But that's the essence. So technically, what needs to happen? We all need to change from being teachers to facilitators.
Okay.
And that shift is massive.
Yeah.
For it to happen and for it to be effective, it means that you, Eddie, needs to empower the student to take charge and step back.
Which is not usually a very good case for Eddie Okila to step back easily, because I am very invested in this thing.
It's authority.
Yeah.
It's about power.
Yeah.
It's about authority.
Yeah.
When I step in class, I come with authority.
Yeah.
When I step back, someone else is taking over.
Authority. So in summary,
I think to bring this whole thing to a close, my take is that, and I would really want to appeal to the lecturer, the teacher, and say, we don't have to wait for the education system to change. We can choose to teach what we teach differently. And for me, that's what I decided to do, even in the system that they were. When I was in Makere, my classes, I was very intentional on how I taught my classes. Yeah. I opted to be a facilitator as opposed to a lecturer. Yeah. 2, I allowed co-learning. We learn together.
Yeah.
I am not the epitome of knowledge.
Yeah.
If you have learned something and you think it's beneficial, let's share it. That's the second thing, that come to the realization that knowledge is not housed in one brain. Yeah. Knowledge is God is gracious. Yeah. Each one of us has a portion of knowledge about some of the things. When you trigger people to go and search, they will go. When you trigger people to sit back and depend on you, they will sit back. I'll say, trigger people to go and search.
Wow.
You will teach the same things, but the outcomes will be different. My final shot to those of us that are very passionate about education and want to change, when it is so painful with what you're doing, you'll do what I'm doing at Refactory. You'll choose to go against status quo. And I hope history will judge you fairly. when that time comes, I can say, yeah, I've trained about 300 people at Refactory. We've trained about, it's not only me, we've trained about 300 people at Refactory. We have about an average of about 70 to 83% placement. I can say I'm happy. I'm a very happy person because I know for a fact that the current placement rate for fresh university graduates is below 10%. So for me to be at 83%, yeah, I feel I can walk on the clouds, but I won't. There's still a lot of work to be done.
Yeah.
And so each one of us has an individual responsibility for those of us that are in the education space.
Yeah.
And hopefully, each one of us can then create that summative change that we need to see.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Michael, for first of all blessing us with your presence and accepting the nomination from our people to come back. I know it's not been an easy journey for you, being a very busy person and what you're doing. We want to say thank you so much, and we want to say thank you for, you know, coming to the program today. And if we ever reached out to you because there's a need for you to come back,
no problem.
We hope that you'll be able to actually accept to come back. Personally, from us here at House of Talent, and of course from everyone out there, we want to say thank you.
Pleasure.
It's been a great learning of you know, a lot of things we didn't know from you on the show. From a host perspective, it's been a great moment to have you on the show. And to all you guys out there who have been, you know, with us on the CEO Bench and continue to be part of the CEO Bench family growing bigger and better, we want to say thank you so much. The great learning from Michael today, takeover, is to teach people to be able to research. Teach people to be able to research. That's a great learning there. And then teach people and step back and give them responsibility and see if they will do it and just correct them. But don't always be the frontline person and you are the know-it-all, the elephant in the room. When you are there, nobody says anything, you're not moving forward. And of course, you know, from the people in our education system, Michael has taught us one thing that is very important. Do research, think about people, look at what is in the market, look at what the market is looking for, and then be able to realign yourself to fit the need of the market. Other than that, we want to say thank you. And to Michael, we want to just, you know, bump this and say thank you very much for coming. And we're wishing you and the team at the Refactory really a great one going forward. We're definitely going to become your student very soon. And yes, thank you very much to the crew and to everyone. It's a good night or good morning or good evening, depending on which part of the world you're actually watching the show from. It's a wrap from us here. Michael and Eddie Okila signing out.
My name is Faizo Kiwewa. I am the founder and the artistic director of Baimba. Welcome to this year's edition of Doa Doa 2021. As you're all aware, we skipped our 8th edition to the 9th. Don't blame us, The world did skip a year, and so did we. Since 2008, we have organized festivals, trained stakeholders, and championed a performing arts market that has helped local artists to level with the rest of the world and the region. That's how Bayimba has contributed to the vibrant arts sector in Uganda. This edition of Doadoa is thought to be a special one, quite different from the previous years. We are running it for 3 months, from May to July. Once a week, we'll host a speaker and one artist for 30 minutes. We are going to learn everything we can about them. Curated to give a glimpse of the performing arts industry, starting from right here, the future space for the Bayimba Center for Visual and Performing Arts on Lunkulu Island, to the Reykjavik Opera House in Iceland, India, Chile, USA, and South Africa. We are going to meet virtually with our friends, some of the most amazing game changers from around the world. They are going to tell us about their spaces, their initiatives, the opportunities, and the possibilities. We thought this edition of Doa Doa would take us around the world, and we think we owe our audience what others have got to offer, and hopefully they could be inspired. And our second speaker is Mark Ball from Manchester, the United Kingdom.
Hello to everyone at the Bayimba Foundation and welcome from Manchester and Manchester International Festival. I'm Mark Ball, the Creative Director here at MIF, where I'm responsible for working on the festival, but also developing the artistic programme for the factory, which is something I'm going to talk to you about a little bit later. And it's really wonderful to be here today, albeit by video. The history of Manchester International Festival is really tied in to the history of Manchester. Manchester is known as a city of invention. It's where the Industrial Revolution started. And ever since then, the city has been making new things, from it being the birthplace of the trade union movement to the starting point of computing. Manchester is always about newness. It calls itself the original modern city. And so when the festival started in 2007, it really wanted to respond to that and to create a festival that uniquely would focus on new work. So everything that happens in Manchester International Festival, which happens every 2 years, has its world premiere in Manchester. We give an invitation for artists to be really adventurous, to come to the city, to try out new things, and to show things here first before taking it around the world. And we're particularly interested, with that spirit of invention, in really pushing the new. So much of the festival is about bringing artists together from different forms, different traditions, together into a collaborative space so that they can really test out new ideas and create new types of theatre, dance, opera and visual arts to really try and think about and imagine what the art of the future might look like. So the festival takes place every 2 years. It takes place across the whole city of Manchester. But at its DNA, at its heart, is the creation of that new work that I talked about, with artists from different forms coming together to create really, really new and exciting things. And just to give you some examples to illustrate that, recently we worked with the amazing Oscar-nominated actor Riz Ahmed to create a project called The Long Goodbye, where Riz really wanted to create a piece of work that looked at the impact of racism on immigrants into the UK and brought together not just his form of acting and theatre, but brought that together with dance, with visual culture, with digital culture to create a truly unique piece. More historically, we invited the amazing actor and director Kenneth Branagh to reimagine what Macbeth might look like in a beautiful old abandoned church in the heart of Manchester, creating a really epic but very intimate performance that allowed Kenneth Branagh to really play with the form of theatre making. Another landmark Manchester International Festival project, and one from its very first festival, was Monkey Journey to the West, which was a collaboration between the Chinese director Zhen Zhizhen, the pop musician Damon Albarn, and the illustrator and visual artist Jamie Hewlett. And together, they brought a whole new perspective on that very traditional, legendary story of Monkey Journey to the West, really bringing together the traditions of Chinese circus, choreography, design and popular music to create something that felt entirely new, that started life in Manchester and then went and travelled around the world. And to bring us up to date with a more recent project, we worked with the grime artist Skepta. Skepta was really wanting to try and create a new experience for audiences, a much more intimate live music event. I think he was fed up with playing gigs where audience members would watch him by holding up their mobile phones and would watch him mediated through a screen. So he wanted, as I say, to create something that felt much more immediate, much more intimate. So we worked with him to create and design an incredible set, to work with technologists, to build this visual world that Skepta created on this beautifully designed stage, with only a few people, 1,000 people crowded around him, to create again an entirely new type of live music event where mobile phones were in fact banned. We took them off the audience at the start of the gig. So the Bayamba Foundation asked me about the sacred art forms of Manchester, and I guess if this city is defined by one thing, other than perhaps football, it's designed by music. This is a city that has given birth to a hugely great musical tradition that actually goes back, over a century, from the establishment of the Halle Orchestra. We now have the BBC Philharmonic Orchestra here as well. But more recently, really since the 1970s, an incredible explosion of popular music in the city, from Joy Division, New Order, the Stone Roses, Oasis. Manchester really being a cradle of great musical talent that's gone and been exported around the world. So in terms of music, which has really been at the heart of the festival, we've worked with some of the great artists from across the UK and from around the world. Artists like New Order, who I've referenced earlier, but we got them to actually collaborate with the visual artist Liam Gillick to really think about what a collaboration would mean for a live music event that brought together visual arts and music. We worked with Bjork, but again asking her to do something new, to imagine what a Bjork experience might be like in virtual reality. We worked with Abdou and Mariam, bringing them to the Whitworth Art Gallery in Manchester. So music has always been a really integral part of the festival, and it's one of the things that will really drive the programme in our new home, the Factory. One of the things that Faisal asked me to talk about were the opportunities for artists from East Africa to engage with the festival. We've had a tradition of working with artists from across Africa. I mentioned Abdou and Mariam. We're working currently with the South African choreographer Greg Makoma. And actually, really excitingly, we're developing a long-term relationship with the amazing Homecoming Festival in Lagos, a festival that celebrates the best of Nigerian and West African design, art, culture, fashion and music. And we'll be bringing that to Manchester in this year's festival as a start of a longer-term relationship. And we'd love to work more with artists from East Africa as well. And we're always open to ideas. We're always open to collaboration. So please, if you've got ideas for what you think might work in the festival or relationships that you think you might want to build with us in Manchester, please just get in touch. We really do want to be open to new ideas. So I'm going to end by talking about two really exciting things. The first is that in a year which we've all faced huge difficulty and huge uncertainty, we're absolutely delighted to be able to present another edition of Manchester International Festival this July, made and created through all of the difficulties and all of the restrictions of COVID. But we've worked hard to pull together artists from the UK and some international artists to create a really special moment over the first 18 days in July in Manchester, a moment that will bring people back into the city, that will allow them to congregate and to reflect on the year that's just gone, to think about what's happened, but also, importantly, to really find moments of collective joy, something that I think we've all been longing for over the past difficult 12 months. And finally, the thing that I'm actually working on most is the Factory. The Factory will be Manchester International Festival's new year-round home. It's being built right in the heart of Manchester, and it will give a year-round invitation for artists to be their most adventurous, where we'll be able to provide artists with new commissions and new opportunities to present their work, not just every 2 years in the festival, but now in an incredible new space, every day of the year. And I'm thrilled that we're only 18 months away from opening the factory, and it's a really, really unique space. It's a space where we're going to invite artists to be their most ambitious, to make work of scale. I was incredibly excited the other day to be able to go for the first time in over a year because of COVID onto the factory site and to stand inside that building and to have seen it develop and grow, which I've only been able to do virtually or by looking at photographs, but to see it in the space and to understand its scale and its possibilities. This really is an incredible building that's going to allow artists to create hugely ambitious work of scale in a purposely designed building. So we're really excited about the potential for artists from all over the world to come and be their most creative, not just in the festival, but in the factory as well. In July, we really look forward to welcoming you to Manchester, whether that's in person or online, and you can catch up with lots of things that are going on in the festival via our website. There'll be a lot of work that's shown online. So if you can't join us in Manchester, please do log on and you'll be able to engage with performances and all sorts of activities and really get a sense and flavour of the festival. So I really do hope that you join us then. And as I say, we really are open to great ideas, to great conversations about how you might want to work with us. So please do, at any time, get in touch. Thank you.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this week's edition of Doa Doa 2021 virtual docu-series. As you've heard from the amazing speaker, now you're going to get to know the artist. This week's In Focus artist is Jemima. She's one of the greatest performers of this country, and that's why she got herself the name The Gladiator. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy.
I'm a Ugandan. I'm a Ugandan. Nyoma nyoma emirimu tolina wona kalimu kokola okera kulela ngaloli monna Uganda wana bachi nyoma nyoma mukamabo tolina
Ndimu na Uganda nenyumiririza nyomwecho njagala nyonze Ndimu na Uganda ensi yange nenyumiririza nyomwecho gemazima. Hello everybody. Welcome to Doa Doa. I'm called Jemima Sanyu. I'm from Uganda, Kampala. Yeah. I'm a singer. I started doing music when I was still a very little girl in church. Jemima, people call me the stage gladiator. You can't see that now when I'm talking, but when I get on stage, I become furious. Yeah, I have this energy, I have this passion, and that is what makes me a gladiator. It's like a battlefield when I'm on stage, but I don't do it alone. It's not normally with a team that I work with. What has been my musical journey from childhood? I would say it wasn't an easy one, but my mom kept on pushing me. My mom was a singer in church, in a Catholic church, and she used to sing with us at home. Every time she would get moody, every time she would get happy, she would just make a choir. She had a choir of 5 little beautiful babies, and I was the firstborn. So most of the times, if she wasn't taking the lead, she would tell me, Jemima, please take the lead. And there was some simple song that she used to sing for us. Holy, 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 holy. So that grew, it grew in me. I grew up singing every day. We used to sing every day. So after, from home, I would go to school. Trust me, I was always in choir 24/7. Church, I was always in choir. I was in the worship team. I was singing in a church called JCC, Ginger Christian Center, way back in Ginger. When I went to university, I did something different. That was computer networking. I did a short course. Yeah. Then I tried to look for jobs around. Things failed. So that is when my husband came in. My husband, producer Legend P. He told me, but Jemima, you've tried everything and things have failed. Why don't you try singing? Why don't you take it to a professional level? You know? So I got in touch with his brother. His brother, actually two of his brothers, producer Henry Chiuwa and producer Steve Jane. So they kept on pushing me. They kept on helping me. They gave me training, and I ended up this professional singer. We also started a band. It was a very simple band in the beginning, but later on it kept on growing. I got to meet people like Mr. Faizo Chiwewa. He has really been a great man in my journey. So many people, but Mr. Faizo Chiwewa has really done a great job. I've worked with people like producer Henry Chiuwa, producer Legend P, producer Steve Jane. Actually, it's in the family. And my brother, producer Big Nash.
I give it to you. Give me love, then I give it to you. Give me love, I give it to you. Big Nash Jemima, I give it to you. Hey!
What motivates me? There is a lot that motivates me, but mostly it's the people around me. The people around me. If you hurt me today, trust me, I'll write a good song about pain. Seriously. If you show me love, you know, if you hug, just a hug is enough for me to write a song. Yeah. Politics at times, you know, where I come from, it's just the daily life, the things that I look forward to as a musician. There are so many. There are so many. I kept on saying, oh, I want to be bigger than Angelique Kidjo since I was a little kid. I want to be bigger than this lady who sang Malaika. Malaika, nakupenda. I used to look at such women and they used to motivate me. But I wanted to be more. Up to now, I still want to be more. Even when you look at my performances, trust me, I'm more.
Katinza nawe tuseye yenga mayengo naguno mukwano kutumbire nga kavera baby nza nawe tuseye yenga mayengo naguno mukwano kutumbire nga kavera musangari musapatu natalina ya dele chikopo nebakola wa munebe zimbe mbela nechuka besubiza ngebiri pure ngabayitana babiri paya.
Seriously, Jemima Sonia believes in God. First of all, I grew up in a godly family. We used to pray every day, morning, evening. There was a time I had to leave home. We had some issues, you know, how families, you know, my mom had to separate with my dad. They had to separate. And they took me to a pastor's home. Trust me, we would pray every day. So that really made me grow as a person, spiritually. It really helped me in the way I behave, treat other people. Yeah, in everything that I do, I have to make sure people see God. They see God. How do they see God? By doing good. Doing good. So I believe in God. I grew up in a very terrible family, you know. My dad was very, very, very tough. He used to beat us almost every day. Every day. Imagine every day, even without any reason. He'll just find you there sitting, doing nothing, and he'll just ask you, what are you doing? You know? And in case you didn't have any answer for that, he would beat you to death. He would make sure he first sees blood coming out of you. So that really brought pain, you know? It brought pain into my heart. Not me alone, even my siblings. Every time I open up my voice just to sing, I run away from all that pain. That's why I give it my all. That is where I get the strength from.
Najua tuliyokosana mimi na wewe, yeah. Hakunipa nafasi nikueleze ilianzaje na iliwaje, na hawezi ona the truth in my eyes. The old me, they got you blind. Hey!
How I was brought up, the pain I went through just because mom and dad were not happy together, you know, and I had to suffer, you know, and being the firstborn, I had to make sure I'm in between these wars, you know, in between mom's wars, dad's wars, the in-laws. It was always chaos, chaos, chaos everywhere. So it really made me grow into this strong, you know, strong, understanding, reasonable girl, you know. So, and up to now, I still feel the pain, you know, because it's hard, yeah? It's hard to see your mother somewhere different, your father somewhere different, and it's you who has to, you know, keep on pulling them together. You know, no, we have to do this, we have, you know. So that really drives me, you know. So every time I sing, I just run away from that pain. Actually, I normally don't talk about this story. This is the first time it's coming out. It's the first time. But I really love people. So every time I'm performing, I just want to spread that love out of me to the world, you know, out of me to the audience, out of me to everyone watching, out of me to the little girls, you know, because I don't want people, I know people have different challenges, they have different families, they have different parents, you know. Some of us were not lucky, but trust me, many of the girls are also have not been lucky. So what I normally do is I don't want to bring that pain to them. So that is what I normally do. I just spread the love. This is a special song coming from Jemima Sanyo. I want to dedicate it to everyone watching Doa Doa. It talks about love that cannot just go away. Broken love, tears, scars. But you know, you have to keep on holding yourself to that person, you know. And I would really want to dedicate it especially to the girls, to the women who have been through what who have gone through what I went through when I was growing up with my father, my tough, tough, tough father. Because I still love him. I still respect him, you know. He's my father. I can never get another father. Okay. This love is so tall, it gets us high, we touch the sky. These tears and the scars are too strong, they rewind the time. This love is so tall, it gets us high, we touch the sky. These tears and the scars are too strong. They rewind the time. Ni wanafaa kubadilisha ilianzaje, iliwaje. Jemima loves Beyonce. I love Beyonce because of her energy, her performance, her voice, you know. She touches my heart, you know. I would really feel good to perform with that woman, you know, having that Ugandan energy, joined together with, you know. I love Beyonce. Actually, even when you check my gallery, it's full of that lady. Her photos, her videos. I just love Beyonce. I won't specify that this is the kind of stage that I want to be on, you know. I just want to give myself room. Whatever comes my way is what I go with, you know. I just have to keep on being hopeful, you know. The stages are too many. There are too many. But trust me, whichever stage comes my way, trust me, Jemima can tear it down. Uh-oh! Is the world ready for me? It has to be. Am I ready for the world? Come on. I'm ready for the world, you know. During the COVID-19 season, yeah, actually it was a dead year because most of the venues where we were working from had to close down. The hotels, the restaurants, the bars, you know, the stages, Bayimba, we didn't do Bayimba, we didn't do Doa Doa. It was a lot. And there were some tours that we normally went to. They were all closed. Everything was shut down. What I decided to do was turn my energy to the studio, you know. So we recorded songs. I have songs like Bandage, Njagala Bandage, you know, and it's my husband, the producer, who produced it. I also have songs like Give Me Love, Give Me Love. That was my brother, Big Nash, who produced it, you know. So far, I have two producers working on me, Legend P and Big Nash. They're really putting in a lot because they know what I can do. And they love me, you know. They want the best from me. And I really appreciate that, you know. Where can people find my music? My music is everywhere. You can go to YouTube, yeah. I have all the videos there, all the audios there, all my social media platforms, you know, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you know, SoundCloud, everywhere. Trust me, we try to put all the music out there for people to listen.
Thank you so much for joining this week's show, Doa Doa 2021. I hope you had some fun and got some inspiration. If you have any comment, please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and leave your comment, or our Facebook page, Twitter or Instagram. We'll definitely get back to you. We are very grateful, and until next week, I remain your host, Faizo Kiwewa from Bayimba and the Doa Doa team. Keep it Doa Doa 2021.
Engineered in the heart of the pearl, one face, four perspectives, embracing a hip, urban and dynamic community, keeping dibs on the constantly evolving African scene, fanning the hottest talent in Uganda and beyond, inspiring beautiful minds across the world, literally changing the game on television. This is XXL TV Show Season 4. Go big or go home. Otherwise, be inspired.
to talk about my experiences and how God has been able to use me in the different exposures. And through the leadership, through change management and transformation, I've been able to do a couple of things in my life. Now, are you a kind of person who is tired of your status quo? Do you want your situation to change? Are you tired of what is going on in your life? You know, change is a fact of life. We've all been through experiences in the last couple of months that have taken us to a place where we need to do something about our lives. We need to change whatever is going on. So if you have not piled up investment for yourself, you need to do that. If you've not done businesses to hold your family in future, you need to do that. Are you thinking of full-time employment? You need to be thinking about your life after employment or your business in the next couple of years. So if you want us to chat, if you want us to talk about this, please get in touch with us at SEAL Uganda on number 0772443085 or check our website www.sealuganda.com, or on all the social media handles. You can hook me up or Facebook, that is Jean-Paul Olowo, on Instagram, Jean-Paul Olowo, and on Twitter and LinkedIn. Then we can chat a way forward with you. We can help you, we can coach you, we can walk with you this journey of financial freedom. Thank you.
At the moment are struggling to understand the older generation because times have changed. Technology has come in.
They've moved on.
Yes.
We're the ones sitting back and wondering, what is my child on to? TikTok has surpassed WhatsApp. The other one I call, I never call it Facebook, it's Bookface. Why are you on Bookface? Dad, it's Facebook.
Yes.
Me, I keep saying, I have a foot amongst the millennials.
Yeah.
And I understand the traditionalists.
Okay.
There's a song in the 60s, by the way, and in the 90s, 70s, where they're like, parents don't understand.
Yes.
Remember Prince?
Yes.
This is the CEO Bench. My name is Eddie Okila and it's a Friday. Welcome to the CEO Bench. Of course, this week we bring you a very interesting guest, the third female on the show, and we will be talking leadership, change management and transformation. And of course, in today's rapidly changing world, learning to of course lead and design our organization to read the turbulence of time that comes with leadership challenges, and change management is key in us making proper decisions that will take our organization forward, but also to allow us, manage impact of what we're trying to do. So today on the show, this program brings you Francis Birungi Odong, who is an executive director of Ukobak. I'm yet to understand how to pronounce the entire word from her, but Francis, welcome to the show.
Thank you, thank you.
How are you doing today?
I'm fine, I'm very well, thank you.
And welcome to the CEO Bench.
Thank you, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So, in a nutshell, who is Francis?
So, who is Francis? So, Francis is Francis Birungi Odong, as you said. I am, what should I say? I work in Ukobak, like you said. Ukobak in full, it's a mouthful indeed. It's Uganda Community-Based Association for Women and Children's Welfare. I am married to one man We have 4 children. I was born in Kenya, but I'm Ugandan. My parents were exiled in Kenya for a period of time. So we are a family of 7, and 6 of us were born in Kenya, and then we moved back to Uganda. So I have been partly raised in Kenya and partly raised in Uganda. So basically that's who I am. I don't know if that's sufficient.
Yes. It's always difficult for people to say who they are and what they stand for.
Yes.
So Francis, welcome to the CEO Bench. We want to know more about you as an individual. How did you end up where you are in what you're doing today? Since you said you were born in Kenya because your parents were exiled in Kenya, why did you choose not to stay in Kenya than to return to Uganda and to end up to what you're doing today?
Yeah. Really, that was not my choice. That was my parents' choice. I'm sure them living in Kenya was not by choice. It was because of the circumstances at that time. And so when everything settled down, they chose to return to Uganda, and we were taken to schools in Uganda. Unfortunately, when I came into Uganda, when we came back as a family, I only spoke Swahili. I couldn't speak anything else. So getting into school, it was very difficult because, of course, in Uganda, we don't speak Swahili. It was very difficult to speak, to speak English, to speak the local languages in Uganda. So I had to go backwards. So many times in the classes, as I was progressing, I was usually the older one in the class because I had to go back, a number of steps. But it was okay. Somehow I was fitting in. Did my primary school here in a school called Nsube. Then from there I went to Tororo Girls School for secondary, finished my secondary, went to Green Hill, did my HSC, then went to university where I did a first degree. And while doing actually when I was in my senior 6 vacation, I asked my mom that I wanted to do some voluntary work. I wanted to, to do something other than sitting at home. So she was, at that time, she was working with a non-government organization as well called Forward. And I was taken in as an intern. So I worked there. It kind of gave me the first experience of working in a civil society organization. They were focusing on work, supporting women to participate in leadership positions and so forth. So it was very intriguing at that age, but it was not yet my time to really, work. I wasn't very sure, but I was trying to figure out what it is that I wanted to do. And for me, it was very empowering seeing what was happening in this organization. And when I went to university, I did social sciences, majoring in sociology. So I think my choice for the university for the course that I took was because of what I saw that was happening in this organization. So I did my sociology course, finished 3 years, and after school I told, again I had a conversation with my parents and told them, you know what, I feel like I want to do the work that I did when I was doing my voluntary work. So do you think you can help to talk to your peers, because they were doing that? My father was in politics, but my mother was doing civil society work. And at that point, I was taken in Yukobak. Yes. As an intern. Yes, so it was immediately after university that I joined Yukobak as an intern. And I started, doing simple work. I was really doing support work in the organization. But I was very eager to learn about what they were doing. It was very interesting, but also the kind of work that they were doing, working with women and children. I thought that was something that was very powerful. I moved to the field with the staff that were in Yukobak at that time. and did, you know, I would do the support work of giving out paper or serving tea or serving, you know, anything that I could be, you know, asked to do. But in the process, I always sat in the classes for the women and the children, and I would look at how the staff were impacting on these lives. It was very interesting to see how people's lives were transforming, you know, from nothing to something. So really it built, it built my interest. But also I felt that I wanted to know more about how I can contribute in a more meaningful way in this sector.
Wow.
Yes, so I worked there as an intern for some time, and I didn't feel like I wanted to do anything else. To me, because I had arrived, if I should say.
So basically your mind was corrupted, and this is where I'm going to be.
Yes, I had arrived at that point, because really for me what was very important to me was transformation, was seeing lives of people changing from nothing to something. And the fact that in this environment was showing me that it is possible to contribute in one way or another to change an individual's life. So it exposed me. I came from a background, my parents, I wouldn't say it was a very poor family, so I had not got that exposure. So working in this environment really showed me the reality of the world. I came to see that actually majority of Ugandans were living in poverty, were vulnerable and needed support. So for me, it was fulfilling to work in this organization, and that is how I started my career in Yukobac.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, if you're joining the CEO bench, that right there is getting you into what we call knowing somebody personally, and of course getting into their life. That is Frances is the executive director of Yukobac, and she's on the CEO bench. If you're joining us from anywhere in the world, we're live on Twitter, we're live on Facebook, we're live on YouTube, and House of Time /Facebook. Please tell your neighbor and tap your cousins, and this story is going to be a very interesting one. As well as on Twitter, wherever you are, tweet, show, share, retweet, and make sure everybody gets to know what is happening. Frances, I want to just take you straight to this. And in today's changing world, it's rapidly changing world, learning to lead and design our organization to read the turbulence of time creatively is critical to our ability to make positive impact. And this television program is about those that are at the top of doing that, or those that are rising up to the top of doing that, and the focus is on transformational change and the implications for the individuals who are in that space as leaders, or in their organizations, or in the culture of the organization, or in our society, depending on what structure that we're in. Your story that you have given in the intro of this interview is very important, but we want to know something more specifically, lining to your organization, which is civil society today. Give us a sneak peek of the life of a woman in that space.
Oh, that's a very good question. The life of a woman in this space is just the same as the life of a woman in any other space. It's not an easy space, especially when it comes to leadership, and when it comes to influencing decisions and also influencing processes in any other institution. So it is not an easy space for a woman. It is a space where a woman has to do something extra or do something more to be able to prove that they are able to do what they should be doing. So I would say that it's the same. It's very competitive. Many times we see that in many civil society organizations, still we find them to be male-headed, and we're having many women, many girls taking up leadership roles in civil society organizations, but it's not an easy task. It's where we have to really prove ourselves that we can that we can, you know, lead these organizations to greater heights. And there's a lot that is involved in the civil society organizations. There's leadership in itself, there's management of processes, there's management of the human resource, there's fundraising, there's, you know, research. It's a lot that needs to be done. And many times there is a feeling that that is too much for a woman because she has other traditional roles that she needs to do as at home. So many times as people are looking for leaders in civil society organizations, the priority is usually given to men because of our society that feels that men have the time, men have the capacity, men have the ability to lead, to take this organization to greater heights. And women, there will be a problem. They will have to go to maternity for maternity leave. They have issues.